All right, Shalom. I'd like to start off by saying, Kal Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Havakak Wadash, Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, a great millstone, and my elder Heroin as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth, to sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Kanak Son by Yashar from the Lions in the Yashar camp. This is going to be like a spiritual hydration, man. Um, Going into being wrapped in these chains of darkness, being subject under the sin, unto sin. Um, you know, luckily we're driven by the Spirit, which is the light of man, and we don't want to let the darkness consume us. But we are in a dark place, and distractions happen. And we did a lesson um a couple few Saturdays ago, and the topic of the lesson was explaining how difficult it is. One of the hardest things to do in life is to do what's right. We strive for perfection day in and day out, and we don't want to sin, but we're in a system that forces us to sin. And the only way that we can achieve perfection is through faith. We can achieve it through doctrine also, but our perfection comes really from faith in Yahweh Shai being our deliverer, not only from the destruction to come, but delivering us from ourselves. Because as long as we have Yahweh Shai as our focal point, right, we turn away from sin to the best of our abilities. Excuse me. We turn away from sin to the best of our abilities, and don't leave and don't fall into iniquity. Because there's a difference. Iniquity is continual sin, or like a sinful lifestyle. That's you're just laden in iniquity. All right, continual sin. All right. So, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and to serve His purpose for the hopeful elect, the ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Shai. All right. I want to start with Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 20. It says, "For there is not a just man upon earth, and doeth good and sinneth not." Especially in these times, man. You know, there's a lot of distractions and things like that. Like Sabbath comes around, we have to work on the Sabbath. You know, there's been a couple times where um, I forgot it was the Sabbath and I'm working out or doing any other things that I'm not supposed to do on the Sabbath, and be like, we slip up sometimes, but don't make it a habit. Like yielding your members to instruments of unrighteousness, but yield your members to instruments of righteousness, being spiritual and understanding with all our shortcomings, we all fall short of the mark. But with all of our shortcomings, we we have Yahweh Shai to bring us the rest of the way. All right. Let me get Daniel chapter 9, verse 11, because we've all have transgressed, the whole nation. But there's still just among our nation. This Daniel 9 and 11 said, "Yea, all Israel have transgressed by thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, because he sinned against him." Right? So we sinned against Yahweh by Shem Shai. But, however, there wasn't really anything we could do about it. We were born into this sin. One, through women, sin entered into the world. It was brought in by Adam, but taken away by Yahweh Shai, which Yahweh Shai was the first Adam. All right. So now we were born into sin. We were subject to sin because of this flesh. But our Creator is what put us in this place. All right. And let me get Romans 8 and 20. It says, Now this kills anybody that says we got free will or something like that, right? It says, Romans 8:20 says, "For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who have subjected the same in hope." Right. And who is that? Yahweh. Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. So we were made subject to vanity, not willingly. It was according to his will. Everything goes according to his will. Nobody can resist the will of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. All right. But within that, within us being made subject unto vanity, he made us a way, gave us a way out to resist the temptation. All right. Now that way out is through Yahweh Shai. Verse 21, it says, "Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption unto the glorious liberty of the children of Yahweh." So even with us being subject unto vanity, all right, Yahweh by Shem Yahushai made us a way to be brought back unto him in righteousness. And that's believing in Yahweh Shai, man. So, but understanding the things we may slip up and do, it is not us doing it. But like how Paul said, explained it, it's the sin that remaineth in us. That's why we have to go through this. It's being purged. We're being refined through the furnace of affliction. And what caused that furnace of affliction? Sin. Without sin, we wouldn't have to go through affliction. Let me see. I can't find it real quick. All right, I'll just let me go to Romans chapter 7. But that like the scripture said, thy backsliding shall reprove thee. So even though we were made subject to vanity, right? Yahweh made us a way to escape the bondage of sin. The first covenant was to let us know what sin was, because Paul said, "For without the law, I knew not sin." So now we're exposed to what sin is, like it was done in Genesis. They were naked and not ashamed, right? They were sinning, but they didn't know it, right? But then when their eyes were open and they were exposed to the sin, and they put on fig leaves, meaning they put on the philosophies and the lifestyles of these other nations. So went from one sin all the way to iniquity, transgression. All right. So now, but and the way of the tree of life was sealed up from the beginning. So now that tree of life is exposed to us for us to become out of the darkness into the light with the tree of life. Then that's Yahweh Shai. All right. This is Romans chapter 7, verse 1. And Paul explains in this, I want to go through this because Paul explains in this the struggle between the spirit and the flesh, man. That's a constant battle every day. All right. It says, "Know ye not, brethren," Romans 7 and 1, it said, "Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he liveth." Right? It says, "For the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband, so long as he liveth. But if a husband be dead, she is loose from the law, all right, of her husband, all right." And it says, "So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another." Right. So we were married unto Yahweh, and He gave us the laws. Right. And then we broke those laws. We were in transgression. We were committing adultery. So Yahweh gave us a bill of divorce. Right. Now, through the sacrifice of Yahweh Shai, all right, it was a new covenant made, and now we're preparing the marriage to be married under Yahweh Shai. All right. It says, verse 4, it says, wherefore, my brethren, ye also are become dead to the law by the body of Yahweh Shai. Right. So when Yahweh Shai was crucified, we were not under that old covenant. We're not bound to the old covenant no more because he created a new covenant with the crucifixion. But it's not finalized until the laws are put in our inward parts, and then we'll no longer be in transgression again. So that's one thing we have to look forward to. Not only do we need deliverance from the destruction to come, but we need deliverance from ourselves, and to be and to be we're going to be 100% righteous, man. Matter of fact, let me get that Isaiah 60. I think. All right, let me see. Yeah, Isaiah 60 and 21, it says, thy people also shall be all righteous, man. We'll never be wicked again. We'll never transgress as a nation, man. We're gonna have 100% truth, and we're not gonna ever displease Yahweh by Shem Shai ever again, man. That's the beautiful part about it. Yeah, it's good to be in the kingdom. Yeah, that's great, but not to ever, ever, ever disobey the Father, our Creator, and the Son Yahweh Shai ever again. Always be in direct order under them for eternity. Nothing there will never be darkness amongst our nation. Sin and darkness will never be amongst our nation ever again, man. That's beautiful. It says, thy people, Isaiah 60 and 21, it says, thy people also shall be all righteous, and they shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. So there's purification that we're going through, right? And Yahweh made a way because of his namesake. He said, these are going to be the people that I choose, all right, to represent me, and he's purging us away from iniquity first, purging us away from unrighteousness, okay? So now under that new covenant, we're gonna have the laws in our inward parts, man. But it had to be that sacrifice from Yahweh Shai. All right, verse 5, it says, for when we were in the flesh, the motions of sin which we were by the law did work in our members to bring forth fruit unto death. Right. So understanding that we were engulfed in sin, living according to the flesh, all right, because the spirit is holy, but the law was for to teach the flesh what righteousness is. Okay. It says, verse 5, it says, for when we were in flesh, the motions of sin, which were by the law, did work in our members to bring forth fruits unto death, right? And that's what brings forth sin. That's what sin brings forth, is death. But now we are delivered from the law, that being dead wherein we were held, that we should serve in newness of spirit and not in the oldness of the latter, right? So in newness of spirit, not the oldest of the latter, man. So 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 abiding by the laws to the best of our ability, man. All right. It says, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? No, the law is not sin. It says, Yahweh forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law. Right. So now we're understanding from a carnal kind of perspective on what righteousness is. Now let's get an understanding from a spiritual perspective, and that's how we're going to be driven. Not taken away from the law, but being exempt from the curses of the law, meaning being able to escape death, because we're all subject to death because we all sin. It says, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? Yahweh forbid. Nay, I had not known the law, but known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet. So, like, if you without the law, you would think because it feels good to do something like that, then it's cool. But the law shows that is wrong. But now, But now imagine understanding that from the spiritual point. Like your mind wouldn't even be set to lust after a woman because it wouldn't spiritually. It's spiritually not right. You know, you don't have to read it to understand that. You'll know because it'll be within you. All right. It says, verse 8. It says, "But sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of concupiscence." I can never say that word. For without the law, sin was dead. Right, because we didn't know. Right, it says, "For I was alive without the law once, but when the commandment came, sin revived, and I died, man." And that it's gonna until it's purged out of us and we get those new bodies, right? It's always gonna be somewhere within our members, somewhere in our members. But the Lord is gonna purge it all the way out of us. It says, verse 10, it says, "And the commandment which was ordained to life, I found to be unto death." Right. Because if you could do the laws 100%, that's basically this is how you live forever. Follow these ways, these laws. But there's a spiritualness behind it. It says, "For sin taking occasion by the commandment deceived me, and by it slew me." All right. It says, "Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just and good." Right. The law is holy. It's just people are wicked. Humanity would be like animals, but animals are kind of under a different law because even animals don't do some of the stupid shit humans do. You know? It says, verse 13, "Was then that which is good made dead unto me? Yahweh forbid, but sin that it might appear sin, working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful." It says, for we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin." Right. So the law is spiritual. I said that wrong in the beginning. The law is spiritual, but us being from the dust, we are carnal. All right. And what does the body want to do? The body wants to go back to the dust. That's why it's subject to sin. All right. Verse 15, it says, "For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would do, for what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I." Right? We found ourselves sometimes in that position. Right? All right, slipping on certain shit like, fuck, what, damn, bro, I got to tighten up. Right? But it's still a little bit of that Adam in us from the beginning. It's still a little bit of, because we're still in the flesh. Even though we're not living after the flesh, we're still in the flesh. Verse 16, it says, "If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that is good." It says, "Now then it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me." Right. We're going to fall subject to these vanities sometimes. Not worshiping other idols, not taking the sea hip. The Lord is going to protect us from things like that. That's why we have to be driven by the Spirit. You know? We're going to be subject to vanities, yes, of course, because we're in Babylon. Because of these unrighteous members, the flesh. That's why flesh and blood can inherit the kingdom of heaven. That's why the carnal mind is enmity to the Most High, man. Because to be carnal minded is death, because carnal mind is going to lead you straight to sin. Verse 18, "For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will it is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not," man. And that was one of the key points of that lesson that we did a few Saturdays ago. It is almost impossible to do the right thing in these bodies, man. That's why the Lord Yahweh Shemi Shai has to change these bodies. It says, verse 19, it says, For the good that I would, I do not. We wish that we could be perfect. But the evil which I would not, that I do. Right. We don't want to be sinning. We don't want to be out here sinning. Right. It says, now if I do that what I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me, man. Mm. For I delight in the law of Yahweh after the inward man. Right. So we delight in the law of Yahweh by Shema Shai spiritually, man. Right. It says, but I see another law in my members warring against the law of my mind. Right. So we have it set in our mind to try to be perfect, man, to try to obey by all 613 laws, you know? But the only thing that's not gonna get us salvation. The only thing that's gonna get, because we're not gonna be able to do that. The only thing that's gonna get us through is faith in Yahweh Shai, man, and abiding by His laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability, man. It says, verse 24, it says, "O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death," man? And that's what Yahweh Shai came to do, to deliver us from the body of this death, and ultimately give us new bodies. He said He's coming with healing in His wings, man. You know, it says, verse 25, and it says, "I thank Yahweh through Yahweh Shai, our Lord. So then with the mind I myself serve the law of Yahweh, but with the flesh the law of sin." Right, and that's the point. That's why you have to try to separate from sin as much as you can, separate from the flesh as much as you can, without being dead. Like, because the spirit is trying to go back where it came from, and the flesh is trying to go back where it came from. So you have to find that balance between the two with Yahweh Shai, man. Not being overly righteous and not being wicked. You know, so we war against our members on a regular basis, forcing ourselves through the Spirit to yield our members to instruments of righteousness, not unrighteousness. All right, Lord, willing this lesson to edify and serve His purpose without like Sekah Halayim, La Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Harikak Wadash, Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth, sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.